Tim Butt, co-founder of The Self-Empowered Investor, and I hope you found the first two videos of this series of value and perhaps a little eye-opening. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the power of these predetermined entry and exit triggers on investments and the value they provide not only in protecting wealth, but also in building lifetime wealth in this new age. Allow me to go back to the S&P 500 chart that we looked at in the first video to help explain what's meant by these triggers. Consider this. What if you as an investor, rather than ride the bubble roller coaster like buy and hold investors do, or allow your emotions to control your investment decisions by buying high and selling low, what if you instead relied on predetermined entry and exit triggers that would tell you when it's prudent to be invested in the market so you can build wealth, like during bull markets, and most importantly, tell you when it's time to get out of the market so that you can protect your wealth from bear markets and the massive losses when bubbles burst? A study by Mebane Faber was recently conducted to identify a strategy that would outperform a buy and hold strategy over the long term, reduce risk, eliminate emotions, and protect wealth from the market meltdowns and bubbles. Such a strategy would need to be disciplined in nature, historically proven, and easy to implement. Mebane found by integrating a degree of market timing and moving investors in and out of the markets, this strategy not only achieved those objectives, but also provided an additional benefit of improved overall returns. Now, many financial professionals will tell you all the negatives about market timing and that no one can time market peaks and bottoms, and to that I say they're absolutely correct. But that's not the intent of this strategy or study. By simply integrating predetermined triggers, investors buy into a market after a recovery has started by way of an entry trigger and sell out of the market shortly after a major meltdown has begun by way of an exit trigger. This strategy has proven superior since 1900, as you see on this chart, but none more so than periods of exceptionally high volatility like the Great Depression from 1929 to 1942 and the new age of investment bubbles that we find ourselves in today. To get a better understanding, let's compare the 10 worst years of a buy and hold investor using the S&P 500 to those of an investor using predetermined entry and exit triggers. I want you to notice a couple things on this chart. First, an investor using triggers not only outperformed a buy and hold investor by a significant amount, but it did so in 9 of the 10 years, and that 1 year was basically equal. Second, check out the bursting of the tech bubble in 2002. A buy and hold investor lost 22.1%, while an investor that used triggers lost only 4.62%. Now go to the housing bubble in 2008. That same buy and hold investor lost 36.77% of their wealth in this 1 year alone, while an investor using triggers gained 1.33%. That's almost a 40% difference in return in a single year. The facts are indisputable, and the odds of realizing lifetime wealth potential are no longer on the side of buy and hold investor in this new age, but rather an investor that leverages predetermined entry and exit triggers. You, however, must be the judge. In today's new age, the most important aspect to realizing your lifetime wealth potential is your ability to minimize losses by protecting your wealth from the market meltdowns of all future bubbles. Wealth preservation must be an investor's #1 priority in this new age. Here's an important psychology lesson. Studies show that the pain of losing money is twice as great as the thrill of making money. I don't know an investor when asked that wouldn't prefer losing 10, 20, or even 25% over the alternative of losing 50% or more. But the past two bubbles have proven that investors seem to have an appetite to lose massive amounts of money and wealth, or they've totally forgotten what history has taught us in this new age, that when bubbles burst, trillions of dollars of investor wealth get wiped out. Let's put these losses in context real quick with the following chart. This is a chart that shows if the markets go down 10, 20, 25, or 50%, what does the market have to go up to break even, and how long will it take for the markets to achieve that? Losing 25% would require the markets to go up 33% to break even and would normally take 1 to 2 years to achieve this. If, however, the markets go down twice as much or 50% as they did in both the tech and the housing bubble, the market has to go up 100% or double in value to just break even, and in today's new age, that would take approximately 5 years to fully recoup such a loss, or basically the average length of today's bull market. I don't know why an investor would risk their investments to a loss of 50% or more of their value, but yet we've seen it happen in each of the past two bubbles, and I'd be willing to bet when this current bubble implodes that the vast majority of investors will experience a massive loss of wealth just as in the tech and the housing bubbles because they failed to integrate a simple strategy designed to protect their wealth. Predetermined entry and exit triggers are the only way to most effectively minimize loss and protect wealth in this new age of investment bubbles. Let's look at the results of investment returns using these predetermined entry and exit triggers, but instead of investing in just the S&P 500, we increased the level of diversification by adding some strategic asset classes to further reduce risk and increase returns. The figures in this chart are from the Dalbar report that we saw in Part 2 and Mebane-Faber's study. You may recall the annual rates of return for an average investor in the S&P 500 to be 2.29% and 8.21% respectively, and these returns are without the use of predetermined entry and exit triggers. Now for some fun. By simply increasing the level of diversification and most importantly, integrating predetermined entry and exit triggers, an investor can improve their annual rate of return to 10.48% by using 5 strategic asset classes or as much as 12.04% with 13 asset classes. That's roughly a 10% annual opportunity gap that any average investor has the ability to easily bridge. Also note the maximum drawdown line on this chart. Just think of these numbers as what an investor could expect to lose in a single year. So there's the facts on the power of predetermined entry and exit triggers. As I mentioned earlier, you be the judge as to whether entry and exit triggers minimize loss, protects wealth, improves returns, and provides the greatest odds and probabilities for achieving your lifetime wealth potential. In the next video, we'll go back to the wealth curves that we looked at in Part 2 and include these two strategies leveraging triggers and check out the lifetime wealth potential of each. You won't want to miss this as you'll see how realizing your lifetime wealth potential can easily lead to a retirement beyond your wildest dreams and one that can live for generations to come. We saved the best for last, so be sure to watch for Part 4 where you'll learn what being a self-empowered investor is truly all about. I look forward to seeing you soon.